Alright, so this is our last day for the watercolor techniques, and we're going to go over a few. Just like I told you guys the day before, but I didn't get it on video, a lot of the times when my watercolors are dry like these are, I'll go back with a spray bottle and just kind of spritz them. Just like one spritz each, just so they can kind of start activating, but I'm not adding so much water that they're like, you know, dripping all over the place on my palette. So that's just so they're not so dry when I actually go to them to paint. They've already started reacting with the water. So we are going to move to tissue and straw today. As you can see, we did the alcohol yesterday, and then this is what the cling wrap did when I pulled it off. So I didn't get as much texture as I was hoping for, but that is because it had already started to dry out some over here. So you really want to make sure and do the cling wrap when it's wet. It's the only one that you kind of want to make sure and do when it's really soupy. So you want that paint, that water really built up, a lot of moisture when you do the cling wrap, so that it can push and trap and do all of that fun stuff with the pigment the cling wrap can. So moving on to tissue, this is a great way to make clouds. So because of that reason, I am going to do some blues. So again, I'm just doing a wash. You could start out with a wet on wet wash, where again you get the paper wet with just plain water first and then add into it. I'm going to pull in this darker blue now just so I have some variation. Okay, so this is tissue pickup. So I'm just going to get a regular tissue, kind of scrunch it up a little bit, and then you just come in and dab. You can do lots of pressure, little pressure. So you can see that already looks like it could be a pretty great cloud. Now, what you want to watch when you're doing the tissue. So let's say this was a large painting and you were doing lots of clouds. You want to keep watching the edges of your clouds. You might have to go back and kind of dab in them a little bit as you go, as it dries, because as the paper's drying, the water is still kind of free flowing, so it can kind of still travel back into where you've already blotted the tissue at. So if you want to make your clouds more hard edged, or you are looking at it and you're like, oh, it's not as white as I want it to be, then you can always go back and dab. So just something to think about if you are creating a big sky with a lot of clouds. Just continue to watch them. Don't assume that once you have made the initial shape that it will stay that way. Okay, so that is tissue pickup. You can also, like I said, go through if you painted an area and really just like press it down and leave it if you were looking for more just like a cool texture instead of like a cloud. Okay, so that's tissue. Moving on to straw. This one's pretty fun. So with straw, what we're going to do is basically you just drop color onto the surface, and you want like a pretty good kind of droplet. I'm going to rinse my brush and change colors. So you're just creating these little beads. You could do this with one color. You can kind of make these little guys travel together in a minute. It's really up to you. But I'm just going to kind of show you the technique of just blowing with a straw, essentially. And I think I'll do a little red over here. Okay, so you can see that those areas are pretty, they are pretty good puddles of paint. So I'm just taking a regular straw. Okay, it has had some paint on it, but I did wash it off super clean, so I know that there's no bacteria left on it. So anyway, all you do is you just blow the paint where you want it to go. So I want some more to travel right there, so I'm going to pick up some more orange. Just give myself some more pigment right there. You can also do these kind of things by just like puddling up your paint and then like tipping your paper and letting gravity do it, but with this you have a little more control. So I'm going to do a little more just because that's fun and I just want to. So I think I'm going to do some blue here, and then I'm going to come in right here in the middle with some purple. Now something cool, if I wanted this blue to go ahead and travel in a certain way, I could kind of take this and kind of like give it a future path, essentially. If I was like, I know I really want it to go that way, and you wanted to like just make sure that it went that way. So I'm going to turn my paper because I want to make this go that way. So anyway, that is straw. That one's pretty cool. I like it. It's just when you want something like kind of fun and organic going on, you can work on that one.